Welcome to the Bougie Black Brother Network. Good evening and welcome to Women Tech Talk. And I'm here with the host and leader, Alicia Carr. How are you, Alicia?
Hello, it's me.
So, we're back to Women Tech Talk because Alicia has just got back. Actually, I was with her. Just got back from London with the BCS. What was the call of the conference that you went to, baby?
It's called SPA Conference.
The SPA Conference, and it was hosted by the BCS, Chartered Institute for IT. So BCS is the British Computer Society, LTD. So how did you run at getting into this conference, Bobby?
I submitted a talk to them, and I think it was listed on Women Who Code newsletter. Okay. And so a lot of the conferences now don't go through a certain, like this papercall.io, and a lot of them are posted in like different places for women to submit the talk. And so I just so happened to submit a talk there, and you have your own login, and you check in, the status of your talk, so forth, so on.
So they're soliciting. It's not like you have to go looking for them. They kind of solicit and say, hey, look, let's put it out there so women can easily find it, as opposed to y'all go find out and see what's available.
Well, that's what a lot of tech conferences do now. There's a lot of people in technology, and what they do is that they reach out, they ask for people to submit a talk, and if they like the submitted of your talk,
the content,
and then they would say, hey, listen, we would love you to keynote. And so that's how I got a lot of, got into the tech conferences, is by submitting a talk, several of them.
So help me with the difference, and maybe some of the people may not know, because sometimes you talk and sometimes you keynote. What's the difference between the two?
Keynote is when you open up the conference. You can open up the conference at the beginning. You could do a lunch keynote, or you can close the conference with a keynote. And that's where one talk, that one time, everybody has to be there to listen to that talk. That's a keynote talk.
That's a keynote. Or if they said, we would like for you to have a talk during our conference, that's a difference.
That's a difference because there's like certain times they'll have 2 or 3 different keynotes on a certain time. So, for example, after the keynote, you may have 5 different talks, right after the keynote. So you get to choose from different ones that you want to listen to or learn from right after that.
So that's why I'm asking, because, I don't want people to just think you went to the conference and everyone had a keynote because it's called a keynote. But the keynote is one of the main ones.
Right.
And they strategically putting that in the conference.
Right.
Because like you said, you started or you
end it
or like a mid
lunchtime.
Yeah. Say like, hey, look, mid lunchtime, this is right before lunch or whatever. We want to make sure y'all get this one, and then we move on, and then more talks.
Exactly.
Okay. So which one did you submit? Put it that way.
I submitted how I became a developer at 51.
At 51. So that seems to be like a pretty popular, because why do you think it's popular? Put it that way.
Because of the fact that a lot of people who are challenged, let's say, who don't believe they can do anything, no matter what age they are, I inspired them because at the age of 51, I taught myself how to code to build a domestic violence app. So it became such a popular talk because a lot of people don't believe they can do it. They'll get to a point in their lives that's like, I can't do this. I'll just, be where I am. I hear this all the time. And he's like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Or not that I don't want to do it, but nobody's going to support me in doing it, or nobody's going to want me once I do it. And once they hear my story, they're like, you just motivated me to. And it's not just women, it's men.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then there's young people of all ages that I have inspired, not realizing that I have inspired them to further on a career in technology and to coding.
So who did you coordinate with? There was I know we met a couple of people, but who was the main coordinators, and who did you kind of interact with
when I was there, or
with
during
the conference?
Or Giovanni is the main person.
Okay.
Jen Ashley been new for years.
And who is Jen?
Jen is the, how would you say, the one of the directors of Women of Code Europe.
Europe, yeah.
Not just one location, Europe.
Yeah. So she handles Europe.
Yeah, she handles Europe.
Yeah, so I met her. She was an amazing woman.
Jen is off the chain. Yes.
She's so intelligent, so poised, very, very intelligent.
Very powerful.
Enjoyed her. Yeah.
Very powerful.
It was a pleasure meeting her. Mm-hmm. And you said Giovanni.
And she's one. Yeah, Giovanni and her is the chair for the SPA conference.
So what is Giovanni's position though?
Giovanni, they say he's one of the chairpersons.
Just a chairperson?
Yeah, he's the chair. Him and Jen are the chairpersons of the organizers for the SPA conference.
So Jen really is the director of Women Who Code, but outside of being the chair, did he say what else that he did?
I don't remember. I remember he worked for a company, but I don't remember the name he worked for.
I didn't really get a chance to break that down because he was me and him was talking, and he said, "Yeah, I talk a lot." I said, "I talk a lot too," and so it was kind of hard to get that in to say, "Oh, by the way, where do you really work?"
Yeah.
But
if we was to contact Giovanni, he would tell us automatically.
Yeah, he would. But
yeah.
he was.
He's an amazing person.
He was great.
I mean, he had a great energy, and I love the way he just, like, Alicia, we were so excited you being here, and that was amazing just hearing him say
so
that.
He was really good, and the setup was pretty decent. I forgot what building we was in.
Now this is a small conference.
Yeah, it was
but it's the BCS, which is
the British Computer Society.
Right. They are 70,000 strong community.
But yeah, because they do a lot. They do a lot of certifications and a lot of computer training, and they're part of a huge society. And mostly
they have a
in
magazine.
The UK,
yeah, they have a magazine. Mm-hmm. Also, they have actually do data on women in tech, trying to keep the numbers strong and knowing how many women are in technology, coding, the numbers or how low the numbers are for women in technology and how to bring up the numbers. We did talk about, they did an interview with me and they wanted me to help them understand. I said the first thing is that you got to spread the word. Women have to see other women doing it for them to bring the numbers up.
You said that during your talk as well, though.
Yes.
Because one of the gentlemen kind of, and you can kind of improvise or whatever. And he was like, so how do we get more women to really get into it? And you basically said,
you have to expose more women to other women.
Yep.
I mean, so, women don't feel that they're good at it until they see another woman doing it. And you also have to expose young girls to it as well.
Yeah.
And so, they don't want to see a man. They want to see a woman. And it's nothing wrong with seeing a man, but that doesn't make a woman want to be a coder.
So subconsciously, it's not that they don't want to see a man, but if you see someone like you,
exactly,
you can gravitate toward it a lot more easier to say, wow, I've seen someone that looks like me or the same gender as me or same color as me. Wow, maybe I can do this.
Right.
And, the norm is a white male showing up and telling you can do it. But if you keep seeing the same people, how do you know that you can do it?
It's different when you see. It's like, that's why I was telling people. I was doing a conference for Lean In, and I came in late, and I jumped on stage, and then the host said, "Alicia, Alicia did this. Alicia, tell your story." Mm-hmm. And so I'm telling my story, and then, once I got off the stage and all these young people just gravitate to me and like asking me all these questions. And then I realized that's when I realized that I can inspire young people, or when they see me, they understand, they realize who I am.
But you can inspire more than young people. So,
But I wasn't
know
aware of that. I wasn't
I've told you, but you didn't believe it until you saw it. I've always told you. I said people are listening to you when you don't think they are, and some people won't tell you, but you can tell by their whole body language, their focus when you're talking, that you are inspiring them, and they're saying, "Wow." And then, when I have the off conversations, when you're in the middle of talking with people, you are inspiring people. There's people, and I know you had the conversation, there's people that's saying, I can stop what I'm doing now and I can start a whole new career because look at what she did. And that's what you've done, and that's what makes it more amazing. I know it's crucial to get the young people so a generation can walk into it and know that they can do it. But I think it's just as important that people who felt, well, I can only just be an admin for the rest of my life, to say I can change careers, because look at what Alicia did at 51.
Yeah, I understand.
So I just find that, your inspiration is really key. And that's why these talks are really important. But the BCS they started in 1957. Mm-hmm. This is an old organization.
Yeah, though. It is. And like I said, it's a unique organization. Because when the guy told me, he said, we got 70,000 members. And to me, that seems kind of small, but where you're talking about Britain, that's big.
The UK, yeah, absolutely.
That's big. And, for what they're trying to do in this small community is amazing. I was very surprised that this conference was so small. Mm-hmm. But it didn't bother me. It was
But it shouldn't. Yeah,
absolutely. For them to bring me down to London to do a small conference is a hell yeah kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
But your content was relevant.
Yeah.
It was about the content. And the thing is that you should never lose sight of is your story resonates around the world.
That's true.
It's not just
that's true.
Lawrenceville, Georgia.
Yeah, that's true.
Your story resonates everywhere. Because somebody in Budapest may said, I can never be a coder. And you show up and said, hey, it took me 51 years, but guess what? I'm doing it and I've done it and I'm letting you know you can do it too. Mm-hmm. And that person was like, wow, I guess I can. And, when we went to London, what was the responses after you got off stage? Because tell me how you did your talk, and you did make some changes on that.
Well, I made it more of a storytelling.
Okay.
And so because there was so many things that I was missing and a lot of things that I realized that was very important to the story was the fact that how I put my hand on my first computer and how it continued on, not realizing that touch continued on within my life. Mm-hmm. The fact that I decided to learn MS-DOS and DBase.
Right.
And everybody was laughing their asses off because they knew back then that was the only way to code.
Exactly.
And so me putting it on my resume, getting the job, and realizing that I have no college degree, and them dumb women over there had to have a college degree to do customer service. And that's when I realized just how powerful learning computer programming back then was. Computer programming. It wasn't coding.
It wasn't coding.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure wasn't.
The way for me to get into computers. Mm-hmm. And that's why I kept telling that story the way I did, because I started to realize it didn't just start there. I just kept on learning on and on and on, from hardware to HTML.
But you had an appetite for technology.
Right, and that's what, and so because I started on people understand, well, you didn't know no other code, and so when I was telling the story the first time, I didn't mention that.
Right.
And so when people say you didn't have no other hands-on code, and I realized, yes, I did.
Yeah, you had plenty of it.
I had plenty of it, so I had to change it up to let them know I have been coding this much and learning this much and this much, right. And still, so don't think I just all of a sudden
out of the blue said,
I'm going to do this.
Code.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So you had brushes of coding and programming as your career went on, your life went on. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that I really liked that you actually did too was you didn't just go with tech. You kind of started saying, during my life, I traveled here and as a mother, and then because my husband did that, I had this, and then I started working because it didn't sound like you had a whole tech career, because you didn't have a whole tech career. You had a life as a mother, as a wife, as just a regular worker with tech in between there. Mm-hmm. And so I liked it because some people never think that way, because when you walk on stage, you're a coder. They forget that you have a life outside of that, mm-hmm. other than, I just love coding. Because that's true. Part of your talk earlier was, I always wanted to code. So it sounded like I've been coding all my life.
Right. Exactly.
But in a way you have been, but you did have a life in between there outside of coding.
Yeah, because I found ways to, like I was telling them about the website. Mm-hmm. I created this website because I wanted to learn HTML. Then I realized, I found this thing that I wanted to do for my daughters, to get the books, save it on the website.
You didn't go enough into that, though.
No, I didn't. I know I didn't.
But I think it was crucial that you kind of injected, because Amazon didn't have any black books. And you really couldn't find any black books. So, because you said it before in one of your talks, when you was talking about that you created a website, and you said Amazon couldn't do it, and Barnes and Noble and all of that. So I decided to make a website when I found these books, to put it on there so people can do it. Mm-hmm. And I even had relationships with the authors. So you've done so much in your life that people can know that you're not myopic and I've just done this. No, I've done this, I've done that. Exactly. I had stores, I had this. I used my technology mind to start selling online as opposed to a brick and mortar. But even when I got a brick and mortar, I went online to find out new vendors. And you've done so much through your whole career and life with technology, but it wasn't exclusive in technology.
Yeah, and that kind of shows in my talk. You know, it tells everybody, look, I wanted to be in technology, man. When it's at this point in our lives where this is where I wish it was when we were in our 20s, because we
would have been totally into it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, and I tell another thing. I said I'm a nerd. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there's not too many 50-year-old nerds right now who are black.
Not many.
It's not too many.
There's a lot of programmers that really stuck with the programming, mm-hmm. as opposed to the coding. They're programmers with, big time software
degrees,
but they never went into the coding, like, mobile. Let's say mobile.
Like I met some young guy at the Best Buy who's in the home automation, that he actually built a motor. He bought the motor off I can't remember, but he built the curtains. The rods come up and down. He said his house is 98% home automated. Wow. Except for the solar panels. He was a young guy, though. Yeah. He was younger than us, and me and him sitting there just going back and forth talking about it. Mm-hmm. Like I said, how many 55-year-old people? And he was trying
have that kind of conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's where I'm like, this is who I am, because you made me some part of it, the home automation part, you mm-hmm. maybe do, and I do a talk on that as well. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that there's not too many of me out there. And that's why I call myself a unicorn, because, nobody can relate to who I am.
Well, there's not too many people. And then when you say unicorn, sometimes people just think there's one side of, well, you're a unicorn because you're a female black coder. No. There's plenty of female black coders. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So you're a unicorn because you're a female black coder who does mobile and have an app at 51. No, that's not just it either. I'm a 51-year-old that can sit down with anybody when it comes to technology
and talk
about it.
Yeah.
And I got an app.
Yeah.
And I'm building another app.
Yeah.
And I know about these things. And I want everyone to know that you can do it too.
Exactly.
So that makes me I have a list of things that makes me a unicorn. It's just not one thing.
Exactly. That's where it's confusing with a lot of people. I got men telling me, well, I can relate to you. No, you you can't relate.
No, you haven't lived my life.
No, you can't relate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, you can't relate. This one of those things that, everybody, is so impressed with who I am.
But so when you say you can't relate, did you tell them why you can't?
Oh, I tell them why they can't.
So why they can't?
Because my experience and my story is totally different from yours. And you cannot compare me to your story. Because a lot of them try to compare, I'm an old person and, I'm having the same difficulty. Yeah, but you're not a black woman.
So that's my point. You don't gloss over the obvious. So when you telling them that, don't gloss over the obvious. Well, first of all, you're not a black woman. Mm-hmm. So you don't know the struggle that I had to do as a black woman. That's the primary thing. So when you say, you may know the aspects of being old, but that's just one part that you can relate to. So saying there's certain parts that I can relate to, I got you. But you can't definitely not relate to what I've been through, because that's just true. So what was the feedback that you got, as soon as, I was there when you had the questions before the talk was over, but when it was officially over, there was a whole bunch of people who so
a lot of people, the one thing I've learned when I do my talk, a lot of people don't like to want to ask questions during it. They like to talk to me on a personal level, and some of them are like, I really love your talk. It changed the way I think about what I need to not only do in their culture, but also what they want to do for their daughters or their wives or even the women in their jobs.
Right.
And how they've been through it, and how difficult it was for them, and what can I do to make a change in my culture, in my, at my employment.
Okay.
So a lot of them ask me. So, I did this talk for SwiftFest a couple of weeks ago in June, and I got a standing ovation for closing.
Where at?
That was in Boston.
Okay.
And so did the same talk, and it's different response. Depends on where you go with the story.
No, I got you.
They love the story there too, and a lot of them, like I said, a lot of them ask questions. In fact, Steve Marshall, who works for the government, he's offered to help me.
Department of Justice, right?
Yeah, Department of Justice,
right.
And he offered to help me build my app in GitHub, open source.
Okay.
So those are things that, again, is amazing, because just a lot of people in different areas. For example, SwiftFest wants me to help them with their conference next year.
Really?
Yes. So
based on what?
Based on the fact that there's not too many black people there. Based on the fact that there's not too many black people helping out.
Oh, okay. So they want a perspective. Part of what you was talking about, one of your talks is about diversity, about if they think, oh, we got a good conference, black people will show up. Mm-hmm. Well, if you don't have black people helping you set it up, you probably won't get a lot of black people showing up.
Right, and no, now don't get me wrong. There's a lot of black people. My people that I know. Remember the big guy, Shabazz? Mm-hmm. He was there.
The one that we saw at the
WWDC last year. He was there. Then my other friend from Florida, who's iOS developer, he was there.
Wow, he came all the way up there.
Mm-hmm. And then my boy, it was Jazzbo. He was there from California.
Right.
And so all of them are black male developers.
Black male.
Yes.
Emphasis on the male again.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so there wasn't too many black women there. There was more male than there were women.
Obviously.
Well, we know there are women iOS developers.
No, so the problem with that is, a lot of input, and sometimes when I go with you, is you see more women when it's a women's conference as opposed to a regular conference, and there's not a lot of women there. Mm-hmm. But they should be part of the regular attendees. Women should be, because there's a lot of women coders and programmers and tech people that are women. But it seems as though because it's male dominated, they get an uncomfortable feeling, and maybe I won't feel welcome there.
Right.
And I think you help when you show up and say, well, I'm keynoting, or I have a talk. And they be like, wait a minute, wow, they have some women with some talks or keynotes on there. So it may attract more women to show up too, which is a good thing, because I think one of the younger ladies that was there, I forgot her name, forgive me, but she was real excited just to be there. And then to have you there, because she was telling me, she's like, really good. They tried to make me do a talk, but I tried my best. And she didn't really have a lot of confidence, but it made her feel confident that when you went up there. And she said, I think 2 days later, she went and spontaneously they wanted her to speak about something. So she had the confidence to walk back up there and do it again, because she saw that you did it. And again, that's why I said that's the amount of influence that you have with a background and confidence to say, yes, you can, which was really good. And that's why I kind of asked, and I'm glad you said that. What was the feedback afterwards? And then you said, yeah, people aren't going to ask spontaneously and in the middle of the talk.
A lot of, for example, one girl put on Twitter after I did the talk that she was abused and raped.
Wow.
And dragged. And I was like, that is, and she said because of Fine Black Woman, she got the strength to talk about it.
Wow.
And so that's what I really, really see the power of my talk, and how it inspire people to release or get to do what they want to do.
Gain confidence.
Yeah, gain the confidence. And so that, for example, that talk is the most popular one. If for example, I just submitted to Django Conf US, and I keynote the same talk to them last year. And I submitted 2 other talks.
Was that the one in Italy?
No, this one was in Spokane, Washington. And so when I submitted the other talks, the Forgotten Coder, Women Coders, they didn't want to hear that one.
Okay.
And so the other one was United We Stand, Together We Stand, or something like that. And they didn't want me to do that one.
Okay.
So totally understand that. Because it doesn't fit into their actual
what
talk.
they want to hear about.
Yeah, exactly. So and I move on. Those are the things I've learned. Like, for example, there's a Swift conference in New York. I think it's something Swift NYC, and that's one of the most popular ones in New York, and they do one every year. And she picks her people.
So that's Swift though.
That's only Swift. And so from there, I keynote in Amsterdam. So that one is the same talk I talk now.
So I think it's important. I mean, the one that you roll out is how people can see themselves.
Yes.
And I think that one, gains confidence. I did like the one you didn't put out there, what about diversity?
Yeah, I took that out.
Why's that?
Because it's not what people want to hear.
Really?
The diversity part got to the point where it's more important to get men to help women.
Right.
They can make a change. And you told me this. You can't put this in. You can't put this in if it's going to make them mad. I said, uncomfortable. So I said, okay. Took it out and say, okay, this is what y'all need to do. Y'all can fix this. All you have to do is support the women that works in your office.
Yep.
And that support is not degrading them, insulting them, telling them, you don't want to hear what they got to say. Support them. They're there. They want your support. I had one at the Swift Fest. One girl said, well, how do I get people to see me and respect me? And I was like, those men that's sitting there, that's disrespecting you, that one of them is going to help you. I said, you know who they are. They support you and you don't realize they're supporting you. Get them to support you. Because if you get them to support you, everything changes.
Yeah.
It changes the whole scope of the whole office. So you're going to have to fight that battle, because you can't just sit there and just think that they're going to just see you.
Or respect you just to respect you.
Exactly. I said, girl, get 2 of them. Hell, get 3 of them. They will help you. I promise you. But you got to go to them and say, I need your help.
Yep.
So I said, it goes that way. So that's what I tell, when women or men ask for, what do I do? Help them out. Stop. I mean, that's why I stopped talking about the diversity thing, because everybody talks about the diversity thing. And the thing is that it's not working.
And I don't want to say it's not working.
It's not working at a faster pace.
Right. It's not working at the pace that you want.
Right. And everybody wanted to work at a faster pace, and it's not. It takes time, and it's going to take a lot. The statistics have shown it's going to take a lot of time to get the numbers up for more women to be in technology.
And it's really when the mindset of the management makes it unacceptable that people are not treating women equally.
Well, see, my friend Richard became VP of the software engineer part of the company. Mm-hmm. And I've been telling Richard for the longest, I was like, Richard, you just can't, there's just not going to be easy for them to bring in somebody. Okay? And he's like, no, Alicia, they can do it. Now that he's VP, he said, you know what, HR, I'm looking at the HR and the resumes are not even coming in for minorities. Mm-hmm. I said,
they don't think you're going to hire them.
I told you that. He said,
they come in and they get scrutinized and they're like, I'm not coming back there again.
He said, I asked HR to do this. I was like, I know you did. I said, but they don't know where to go.
Or when they do show up, somebody's saying something different. If I know when I show up and they're asking me, they scrutinizing me a lot more than somebody of another color, I'm not coming back. And then when someone say, hey, you know what, they got an opening. Yeah, I went over there. They're not hiring any black people. Or, yeah, I went over there. Yeah, but they're not hiring any women.
And this is the thing. That's what he wants. So HR is stopping it at that point. HR is, because he's telling HR, I need to have more minorities up in here. Mm-hmm. And HR is, okay, oh, yeah, we can help you. And he said, Alicia, these resumes are coming in, and this is not what I'm looking for. I said, did you tell HR to go? I said, what you need to be telling them is to go to Women of Code. Yep.
They got a great database
of women
and women of color.
I said, so what about going? I said, there's so many other organizations that they can go to get minorities.
But see, most HR, being honest about it, most HR go online with the monsters.
Yes, that's exactly, and
that's where they get it from.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you're not
going to get them that way,
right? But he has to tell them where to go. And I told Richard, tell him where to go.
And then it's a little more work.
Yeah,
but he'll get what he wants.
Exactly. The same with Automatic, with WordPress. This black guy emailed me talking about how do I get more black people in there. I said, dude, why are you asking me? Women of Code's got a whole conference going on if you want women. Yep. He said, well, it's kind of too late. I said, well, then you need to understand that you need to go over there, talk to Women of Code. They have a database of where you can post your job. When you post your job, women will apply if they feel they could fit in. I said, another thing is, a lot of women don't got no WordPress experience. Come on.
Yep. Because it's not a popular,
No, it's not.
So you're really getting either some old school people, or you probably get somebody with technical background that you would teach that.
Yeah. Do you have any form of apprenticeship?
Yeah. That's your best bet, is to build somebody into it.
Right. But so, these are the things that, I hear. This is after I do my talk, I hear these same questions all the time. Mm-hmm. How do I get black women? How do we get my minorities in there? Well, the thing is, the criteria for a man to get in is different for a woman to get in. Mm-hmm. You'll think that
they're going to say no, it's not.
Yeah, it is. I said, if I tell you how to do it, you're saying you're lowering your standards, but you are lowering your standards for the men you're bringing in.
Well, we're really not. Well, let me explain how you are. Mm-hmm. Well, no, not necessarily. See, you're not even understanding your own process. And that's part of the problem too.
Because they're always saying, oh, no, well, we want more women. I said, well, I'm going to tell you how y'all do it. Your boy, working in the company, have a friend, hook him up, have no skills, no experience. You bring him in.
Oh, he was in my dorm.
Yeah.
Or he's my frat brother.
Yeah, exactly. A woman comes along, don't have to hook up, has the skills, and y'all going to say, she's not a good fit.
Or, remember, you told me this too. There's this guy who has a degree from Georgia State. And then this woman who went to a boot camp who's been programming and knows the job, but they're going to get the guy with the degree because it's most likely he'll be able to do the job, but he has no experience. He just has the degree. But they're going to bypass the woman because, we trying to get someone with a degree. No, what you really want is a person with the experience.
Yeah, and that's what's going on. Now they're starting to see now that a college degree don't mean nothing. Because the people
you can do the job.
Right, because the people coming out of college who claim they have this coding experience, the code is old, they learn.
Yeah.
They ain't not keeping up with the
current.
No, it's not. And so when people ask, another thing, a lot of people ask me, a lot of young people ask me, a lot of women ask me, should I go to college for it? And I'm like, listen, there's boot camps out there. That's like $10,000, $20,000. A college degree costs maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 times that much. Take the boot camp. Learn the code. Do your portfolio. Go get hired at a company. Let them pay for your college degree.
Yeah, if that's what you want as a degree.
And that's what you want, exactly. And
or if that's what they require.
Right, exactly. Yeah. A lot of them are stopping that requirement now. They're not looking. They put it on there, but they're starting to understand the college degree don't mean nothing.
Well, they like a lot of plug and play now because you want, hey, look, I need somebody to be up to speed to code because we got a project. We're hiring you for a project. We're not just hiring people to be programmers. We're hiring people for projects. So if you can code right now, I need you. I don't need someone I have to teach and bring them along and put them in the bullpen with the rest of them. I need someone who can contribute immediately. And that's where a lot of businesses are looking at. Yeah, so you're absolutely right.
Well, like I did in my presentation, mobile engineers are in high demand, but women are cannot get into cannot get into that field. It's a very hard field to get in. And some of the women that I know who got into it either was working for a company and got promoted into it, or they had a mentor that showed them how to get into the field, into doing it. Right. So it varies. So, again, these are things that people ask me after I do my talk. And it's just amazing. I try to direct as many women as possible into coding, to learn to do. There's a lot of free boot camps out there for them to actually learn from. And I tell them just go for it. If they like it, then, keep on going with it. And,
they can.
Yeah, I mean, that's if they like it. I tell them it's always good to find out if you like coding, because a lot of women say they want to code and realize that's not for them.
But try it. I know sometimes it excites people because they see it from a distance, but sometimes some people don't have the mental aptitude to do it. I get bored. I can code, but I get bored because coding takes a lot of discipline to stick with it and go over it and stick with it and go over it. I don't have the actual discipline to do that.
Right.
One other advantage you have is you get to travel. And this time you travel to London. So after the conference and all, what was your thoughts about London?
It was, you know what? I can't compare it to anything besides that. It's a fast-paced city. It reminds a little bit of New York. Not as dirty.
Obviously.
Very green. A lot of greenery. Much more than I expected. It was different. my experience, don't get me wrong, I love London. Was like everything was like walking distance. That I did like.
Oh yeah.
You know, we got to tour London by walking a lot of it. Don't get us wrong, our feet was messed up after the fact. I was walking. I was exhausted, but it was so cool to know that I can walk London.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the palace was not that far.
Nope.
And that was really cool. You know, the fact is that all them people was there. I mean, that place was just like...
It was jam-packed.
It was like everywhere. It's like they were waiting for somebody to come in.
No, it was a changing of the guards.
Right.
And then we got to see the changing of the guard with the military. Because you don't know, the military normally, according to, we were escorted, which was really cool.
With Charlotte.
Yep, Charlotte and her
dad Paul.
Which
yes.
was fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
We love them to death.
Oh,
our new best friends.
I know. I can't. We're like, okay, you're going to have to come to Georgia. We're going to throw everybody out the house.
We're going to come back to London. So, but they were saying this is a different day because it's not just your regular changing of the guard. It was the military was involved in this one. He's like, well, this is different. They don't normally do this. So you got a chance to see it. Couldn't get really a lot of pictures because there was people everywhere.
Yes,
they were at a distance, up against the gate.
Yes. I mean, we couldn't even get into, I mean, there was people right at the gate. It's like, I was hoping maybe I can get into the gate, and they wouldn't even let me in.
And then all of the police on the outside was shoveling you like, get back,
mm-hmm.
get across the street, hurry up across the street. What are you waiting on? I was like, damn. I'm glad they're not like New York police.
No. It was just, it's just, how can I say it? It was just so different. I mean, like there's I don't know what, it's not to compare with anything, but it was just like the nicest place to be.
So it was a combination of a lot of things. This was really unique. It reminded me of DC. So when you go around to DC, you can see all of the monuments, the museums, the monuments,
yes,
the White House, where Congress is. And then you go around in the other areas. The Pentagon is way out of the way, but you have all of your like department areas. It's all in that immediate area. But this was fantastic. And then on the top of that, drop Wall Street in DC
in the middle.
And that's what London had. So London had the financial district as well as the monuments and all of that all together. And it was just a great flow, but it was just so different. And the one thing that stood out was the diversity.
Yep. It was amazing how we seen so many different people speaking so many different languages.
Mm-hmm. It was, since this is Europe, you had plenty of Europeans in there. But
that wasn't, we were looking at it. I was looking at it. I was like, there's like, like you were saying when we were there, like, babe, there'll be like the Asian in this area that won't blend into the Jewish on this area, that won't blend into the Arabic on this area. Because in Atlanta, you just have different sections and you don't see them blending in.
No, not at all.
And when London, there was just a blender and people just walking in different colors and different nationalities, and it was like no people looking at them weird or
it was when they say New York is a melting pot and how everyone is totally together, but you can go to New York now and you still got Chinatown and you still got Little Italy and you got Harlem. Well, it's still segregated, even though in the main part of New York, when you go to like Times Square or Wall Street or any other areas, there's a blending because they work. But where we went and we walked plenty of London, that was just, you had Asians and you had Muslims and you had traditional Muslims. There was only a few Jews that we seen, or what is the traditional Jewish?
Orthodox.
Yeah, Orthodox. I only saw a couple of
I
those.
think I saw
Let me
about
see
one, but I think they were there visiting more so
than actually
living there. Yeah, because I mean, and another thing is, having a conversation with Charlotte and Paul. It was just like so, like the norm.
So I love that. They lived with their tradition and they knew it. And
the history.
The history.
The history. Paul knew the history.
Well,
Paul was no joke.
Worked with the magistrate.
Yeah.
So he lived it and he understood the how Parliament and everything else works. And it was he directed us to a lot of places that, hey, this is where the defense is right here. This is their building. Oh, this is where they had executions. This is the old building.
Yes.
And I was like, damn.
Yes, he like when they cut off the king's head. He said people didn't believe him, so they had to put him out on this.
They put him out on a stake. He said, "Oh, here's a little restaurant. What is it? Something and quartered." He said, "Yeah, that's what we used to do. We would kill somebody. We would hung, and they said we would hang them, but we really wouldn't hang them, and then we cut their body up, and then we package it up and give it to their family." I was like, "Damn." Drawn and quartered.
I mean, the history of London is very religious. Yeah, because
they got a lot of I think Protestant and
Catholic.
The Catholic.
That
way.
Yeah,
Catholic.
Because we went to the National Museum and we saw a lot of that.
Oh yeah, it was all over the place.
Yeah, but there was other parts that. Yeah, and we was like, okay, a little bit too much.
Move along. Nothing to see here.
It was a free museum though. It was beautifully done.
Mm-hmm. And then, they asked for contributions, which you should do anyway.
Yep.
But it was really, I love the layout too.
Yeah, because Charlotte and Paul said, go to the museum, and it's for free. They tried to get us into the church, but the lines were so goddamn long in the church. I was like, no.
Then it was like 20 pounds.
Yeah, and it was like, that's a lot of money.
And the pound was like 1.33. So
it was
high. A little more money.
Yeah, it was high.
So we kind of passed that up.
But the tour of London was amazing.
Yep. So
because she was showing us like this right here, this long street. This is where they come. Plot down is a mile long. Mm. I mean, there were just things. We have pictures of a lot of things he talked about, and it was just so. Oh, and then we did the boat ride.
Oh yeah, we did the boat ride. So we went down the Thames
with the Oyster card.
Yeah. So it was really cool with the underground. So
oh my gosh,
their subway system or mass transit system,
Piccadilly line.
Yeah, so we was on the Piccadilly line.
We was on the Piccadilly line.
It was cool. It was really it was old, but it was clean.
Yep.
So that was the other thing.
And there was another thing. He told us about the history of the underground. It said it goes way, way, way down. It goes back to how far World War, one of the wars,
one or two,
one of the wars, and there's one exit. One stop we came up, and it was so. We were deep underground.
And the escalator was like almost straight up. It
was
kind of like, Jesus.
Yep.
This is way underground. Mm-hmm. And he said, but most of it is really not as far down. But the older ones were really, they went further down from that. But they gave us such great history.
Oh,
and to me,
yes.
It was worth it. But then you turn around and one of the highlights of it, which I wanted to do, and if I go to Ireland or Scotland, that's the next thing I want to do too, is the beers and the pubs was fantastic. So we went through in the World Cup time, so it was always a good opportunity.
It was the best time to be in England when they were playing
because the
football.
English were playing and they were winning and football.
Football.
Yep.
Not soccer in England
when
is
I came
football.
back here, I'll tell them, we was looking at soccer, but really we were watching
football. What's the other word we seen was footy? Footy? It was footy?
I think it's footy.
I think it was footy. Yeah.
Yeah, let's watch footy.
Yeah, that's what some of them were saying that too. I was like,
the hell is weird. Footy? And then it was, that's what it was.
It was footy. But it was thank you, Paul. Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you so much.
We are so in love with you.
We still gotta thank Jen because Jen took us around as well. She's a food person, a foodie.
Jen knows her food.
And she just highlighted some areas that was so delicious. Her taste in food is immaculate. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting her as well. But
Jen is amazing. She's that woman that is fierce. and powerful.
Amazing.
And we had such a good time. It just was good. When I was interviewing with Charlotte last year at GitHub.
Yep, GitHub.
And the video I done, and she was like, "Oh," she said, my dad. And I was like, "I want to meet your dad," because he is like, so far I was so impressed with him. By just coming out of Charlotte's mouth, that's all she talked about was her dad. So it was amazing meeting her dad. Like I said, me and Michael had such a good time. Charlotte told me, if I ever come to London, reach out to her, and I did. And she did not disappoint. I promise you, she did not disappoint. And no, y'all cannot meet her. That ain't happening. She belongs to me and Mr. Carr.
Yep.
Paul, did you hear me say that?
But we really enjoyed ourselves. But it was a good conference. Like Alicia said, a small conference, but you really felt the intimacy was really, I really liked, because there was a lot more closeness there. And it seemed more relevant because most of the talks was what people wanted to hear. And you saw the consistency of the people showing up every day that was there for a reason, where some of these conferences, they show up for maybe one or two people and they don't show back up. But this seemed like this was really, really good. So really good conference.
Oh, don't forget, remember who we met at the end?
Who we met at
the
end?
Judge.
Oh, and you know what? We didn't get her name because I can't remember her name.
Me neither. But we don't need to mention her name. Let's not,
was
because
amazing.
She that was the highlight of, I think that was the end of our tour. And we got
because after that we had to leave because it was getting late and our feet was killing us.
Yeah. And Paul introduced us to one of his protege. Can you say protege? Would it be? She was amazing. She is a judge in England, and she is an amazing judge. And it was just, she does some, even though she knows what she has to do, she tries to do it the best way she can. And I have to respect her for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
she was another brilliant woman that I really enjoyed meeting and listening to. And she once again, another woman that had major energy, I swear. Very,
I remember she was saying, "And them white people."
I was like, wow. Say it, girl. You in the position.
And you know what? That was just a different thing to hear. Because it was Paul and Charlotte was there. And you know what? The thing is that I think they all related to the issues that she had to deal with and respected that.
But I think Paul already knew.
Yes, Paul.
Because he worked with her. But I think Charlotte knows because that's her dad.
Yeah.
So they probably had conversations in reference to different things. Doesn't mean that they agree because, that's
true.
The conversation between them two about certain issues that they didn't necessarily agree with it too, which I like. You should have your own opinion. But I thought it was really good. I loved their relationship.
I do too.
I enjoyed their company so much. So much. You don't get that a lot.
You don't.
Intelligent people that's open and warm.
Yes, exactly. And beautiful.
Beautiful spirits.
Beautiful energy. Yes, yep. Yes. I love you, Charlotte and Paul.
I love you. But thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping by Women Tech Talk. Alicia has some other ones she want to get back into because this is the first of this year. We have a lot of the older 2017s. This is the first one for this year, so she does have a couple of more things she wants to do. So we'll be back and about. So look out to Women Tech Talk that you can get on all downloads of podcasts, and she'll put it on her Twitter account. Find BLK Woman on Twitter, and Bougie Black Bro BRO on Twitter, or go to bougieblackbrother.com. and hit the icon that says Women Tech Talk, or go to the menu at the top and you drop down and you see all the previous ones. So that's what we got. Anything
yes,
else?
we do.
So we appreciate you, and we'll see you next time on Women Tech Talk on the Bougie Black Brother Network. See ya.
Bye.